Hello? Yes. There we go. Good afternoon again. There. Now that you can hear me. Okay. Thank you all for coming out. My name is Michael Williamson. I'm the director of today's show. Happy to see everyone here. It's always wonderful when you can come out at the beginning of a show, see a crowd of people waiting for you to perform. Makes us feel good. Hopefully you feel good. This stuff is important to us. Silverstein Players has done a number of shows in Marysville, and every time that we get to come out and perform for you on stage, it's a strangely reaffirming thing that people care, and people want to see the arts alive in their community. And you showing up and supporting us is evident that that's true. So we hope you continue to do that, and we hope we get to continue to perform. Just want to say a couple things before we get the show started. There's a lot of work that goes into putting something like this together, both on stage, off stage, backstage, all across the board. So we want to make sure we highlight some people. In your programs, there are people that are highlighted, but there are a couple people that didn't make it in there, so we want to make sure we hit everybody. But we'd also like to, in our congratulating and being happy that theater is alive in Marysville, would like to point your attention to some other things that are going on throughout the year. A couple of them are very soon, but we also have a show coming up later in the fall, so keep an eye out for that. We want to point your attention to some local stuff that's coming up soon. April 21st to the 23rd, Fairbanks High School is doing their rendition of High School Musical. That will be staged here at Vets, so come out and support them. That same weekend, the 21st to the 23rd, Marysville High School is doing The Music Man, and that will be at Marysville High School, so support them as well. There are more information about both of those shows in your program, so please come and check them out. So to move on to a couple of the things that we want to say, just a couple of people we want to say thank you to. There's a tremendous effort that goes into bringing this stuff to life in a very practical way. We obviously have to build a set, we have to put together costumes, and that's a lot of work, particularly for people who are just doing it for the fun of it, essentially. So we want to highlight a couple of people. We want to say thank you to Bo Johnstone for giving us a number of items, historical props. Our play today takes place in the 1940s, and so some work goes into making sure that it looks authentically 40s. One of those things is an American flag. As we were putting this together, we didn't think of the fact that there are not 50 states in the mid-1940s. So we had to have an American flag that only had 48 stars. So Bo gave us that. He gave us a couple of other things to try to make this thing come to life, and we thank him for it. We also like to say thank you to Ashley Miller. She helped give some set props into production. There's a table and chairs that she donated to us that is right here on center stage, so we thank her for that. Also like to say thank you to Heather Herzl and Jacob Holland for help building the set. When I read this script and wanted to do this play, I read that the setting was a two-story Midwestern house, the back of a two-story Midwestern house, and I thought to myself, well, that's going to be pretty interesting to try to put together, but we hope we did. So thank you to all of those guys that I mentioned, as well as our cast. They all pitched in and helped out. That theme carries throughout all the productions that Silverstein Players has done. We build the sets, we put the stuff together ourselves, and it's in the spirit of being involved in the community. And so another thing that we do at Silverstein Players is all of our shows that we do benefit organizations here in town. So everybody who buys tickets, that money goes to one of our local organizations. And this season's show goes to Wings Enrichment Center, and we have somebody from there here today to come out and talk about it. So if Nebby Brown could come out, he'll tell you a little bit about the organization.
Good afternoon. It's a little weird for me to be up here for this one. I kind of purposely took a break after the last year because I had done 3 shows, and I'm like, you know, I need a little time to rest and recover. But with Wings being the beneficiary of this production, I've been involved. Not as much as normal, but I've seen the progression. And it's weird for me because I've been involved in Silver Scene since its inception, but to be on the other side of the fence and be directly involved with the organization receiving the proceeds, I see things from a different view. And I cannot say thank you enough to the members of Silver Scene Players for their time, effort, dedication to not just us, but the other organizations that have benefited from past productions. Let me tell you a little bit about Wings Enrichment Center. We've actually been in the Marysville, Union County area for 17 years. We are a nonprofit, drop-in peer support organization. We support people who deal with mental issues, ranging from everything from bipolar to depression to anxiety, you name it. We also work with people who suffer from addiction issues, alcohol, drugs primarily, but certainly not limited to that. We are undergoing a bit of a renovation, or as I've started calling it, a rejuvenation. Some of you may be familiar with our past executive director, Penny Wood. She ran Wings and was involved with Wings for 12 years and has taken it farther than anybody ever could have dreamed. Penny stepped down earlier this year, ready to tackle new projects. And our new executive director is Tim Schilling, who has been in the Marysville area for many years and has brought a new breath of air to the organization. We are looking at doing things that we never thought were possible before, and we are actually getting ready for a renovation of our building, thanks in part to the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Union County and the state of Ohio. So hopefully in about 3-4 months, as government goes, which could be next year, sorry, we will have the same facility, just have it all prettied up and able to do new and exciting things to help benefit those in Union County that can benefit from our services. But I don't want to neglect the most important people here today. The cast and the crew and the backstage people, everybody that's been involved in this show, you know, Hit Band, you guys sound incredible. Where were you for Live from Hollywood? But, true. But the most important people are those of you sitting in the seats right now. Without you, this isn't possible. We can stand on a stage and recite lines until we're blue in the face, but it's for you that we do this. And you coming out to support Silver Scene Players in Wings means the world. It's for you we're doing this, whether it's just watching us perform or taking advantage of one of the programs that we have benefited from in the past, from the food pantry to the Humane Society to New Path pregnancy centers to Wings. You know, we're here for the county. We're here for you. And we cannot thank you enough. I'm sure I've used more than my 30 seconds, but yeah, careful. Real quick, I was listening to what Mike said about constructing the set and everything, and you know, I had the challenge of building a back of a 2-story house for something like this. This set is incredible. This is something I have never seen on this stage before, and I've been doing this for 30-some years. Check the gray in my hair. Just for the record, the 2-story house was built in a 1-story garage, and I got the scars in my garage to prove it. With that, thank you again for everything. We greatly appreciate your time and your generosity, and on behalf of Wings Enrichment Center and Silver Scene Players, please enjoy the show. Mike?
Gonna rain tonight.
Paper say so?
Yep, right here.
Well, then it can't rain.
Hiya.
Hi, Frank, what's doing?
Oh, nothing. Walking off my breakfast. Isn't that beautiful? Not a cloud.
Yeah, nice.
Every Sunday ought to be like this.
Want the paper?
Oh, what's the difference? It's all bad news, so what's today's calamity?
I don't know. I don't read the news part anymore. It's more interesting in the one ads.
Why? You trying to buy something?
No, just want to see what people are interested in. Here's a guy who wants 2 Newfoundland dogs. And what's a man going to do with 2 Newfoundland dogs?
That is funny.
And another one. Wanted. Old dictionaries. High prices paid. What's a fella going to do with an old dictionary?
Why not? Probably a book collector.
You mean he'll make a living out of that?
Sure, there's lots of them.
All kind of business going on. In my day, there was no such thing. Either you were a doctor or a lawyer or you worked in a shop. Now,
I was going to be a forester once.
see, in my day, you couldn't do that. And you look at a paper like this, you just realize how ignorant you are.
Hey, what happened to your tree?
Oh, ain't that awful? The wind must have got it last night. You heard the wind, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a mess in my yard too. Oh, what a pity. What did Kate say?
I'm just waiting for her to see it. They're all asleep yet.
You know, it's funny.
What?
Larry was born in August. He'd have been 27 this month, and his tree blows down.
I'm surprised you remembered his birthday, Frank. That's nice.
I'm working on his horoscope.
How can you make him a horoscope? That's for the future, ain't it?
What I'm doing is this. Larry was reported missing on November 25th.
Yeah?
So, we assume that if he was killed, it was on November 25th. Now, what Kate wants...
Oh, Kate wants you to make a horoscope.
What she wants to find out is whether November 25th was a favorable day for Larry.
What is that favorable day?
A favorable day is a fortunate day, according to the man's stars. In other words, it would be practically impossible for him to have died on his favorable day.
Well, was that his favorable day, November 25th?
That's what I'm working on to find out. It takes time. See, the point is that if November 25th was his favorable day, then it's completely possible that he's alive somewhere because, I mean, it's possible.
Jeez.
I didn't even see you there.
Is he talking sense?
Who, him? Oh, he's all right. He's just completely out of his mind, that's all.
The trouble with you is you don't believe in anything.
And your trouble is you believe in anything. You didn't happen to see my kid this morning, did you?
No.
Imagine, he walked up with his thermometer again, right out of his bag.
What a problem. One look at a girl and he wants to take her temperature.
And that boy's going to be a real doctor. He's smart.
Over my dead body, he'll be a doctor. And a good beginning, too.
Why? It's an honorable profession.
Frank, will you stop talking like a civics book?
You know, I saw a movie the other week, reminded me of you. There was a doctor in that picture.
Don Amici.
I think it was, yeah, and he worked in his basement, discovering things. That's what you ought to do. You could help humanity and stuff.
Oh, I'd love to help humanity on the Warner Brothers salary.
That's a good one, Jim.
Where's the beautiful girl that's supposed to be here?
Annie came?
Sure, sleeping upstairs. We picked her up on the 1 o'clock train last night. Just a wonderful thing. Girl leaves here, a scrawny kid. A couple years goes by, she's a regular woman. Hardly recognized her. She was running in and out of this yard all her life. That was a very happy family lived in your house, Jim.
Well, I'd like to meet her. The block could use a pretty girl. The whole neighborhood, there's not a damn thing to look at. Except my wife, of course.
Mrs. Adams is on the phone, you dog.
Such as the condition that prevails. My love, my life.
Don't sniff around me and give her a nasty answer. I can smell her perfume over the phone.
What's the matter now?
I don't know, dear. She sounds as if she's in terrible pain, unless her mouth is full of candy.
Why don't you just tell her to lay down?
She enjoys it more when you tell her to lay down. And when are you going to see Mr. Hubbard?
My dear, Mr. Hubbard is not sick, and I've got better things to do than to sit around and hold his hand.
It seems to me that for $10, you could hold his hand.
Joe, if your son wants to play golf, tell him I'm ready. If he wants to take a trip around the world for about 30 years.
Why do you needle him? He's a doctor. Women are supposed to call him up.
All I said was Mrs. Adams is on the phone. Can I have some of your parsley?
Yeah, sure. You were a nurse too long, Susie. You're too realistic.
Now you said it.
Frank, the toaster is... Hiya.
Hello.
The toaster is off again.
Well, plug it in, I just fixed it.
Please, dear, fix it back like it was before.
I don't know why you can't learn to turn on a simple thing like a toaster.
Thomas Edison.
He really is very handy. Oh, did the wind get your tree?
Yeah, last night.
What a pity. Did Annie get in?
She'll be down soon. Wait till you meet her, Sue. She's a knockout.
I should have been a man. People are always introducing me to beautiful women. Well, tell her to come by later. I managed to see what we did with her house. Thanks.
Is she still unhappy, Joe?
Annie? Well, I don't suppose she goes around dancing on her toes, but she seems to be over.
Well, is she going to get married? Is there anybody?
Oh, I suppose. I say, it's a couple of years already. She can't mourn a boy forever.
So strange. Annie's here and not even married. And I've got 3 babies. I always thought it'd be the other way around.
Well, that's what a war does. I used to have 2 sons, but now I have 1. It changed all the times. You know, in my day, if you had sons, it wasn't enough. Now, a doctor could make $1 million if he could bring a boy into the world without a trigger finger.
You know, I was reading in the paper that... Oh, hiya, Chris!
Lydia, come in here. The next time you want the toaster to work, don't plug in the malted mixer.
Did I?
Anytime I fix something, don't tell me I'm crazy. Now come in here.
I'll never hear the end of this one. Oh.
So what's the difference? Instead of toast, have a malted. Shh. Want the paper?
No, just the book section.
You're always reading the book section. You never buy a book.
I like to keep abreast of my ignorance.
What is that? Every week a new book comes out?
A lot of new books.
All different.
All different.
Annie up yet?
Mother's giving her breakfast in the dining room.
See what happened to the tree?
Yeah.
What's Mother gonna say?
Well, you're finally...
Ah! Bert's here! Hey! Where's Tommy at? He's got his father's thermometer again.
Oh, he's taking a reading.
What?
But it's only oral.
Huh, well, there's no harm in oral. So, what's new this morning, Bert?
Nothing.
Nothing. Then you could not have made a complete inspection of the block. You know, when I first made you a policeman, every morning something was new. Now, nothing's ever new.
Except some kids from 30th Street. They started kicking a can down the block, and I made them go away because you were sleeping.
Now you're talking, Bert. Now you're on the ball. First thing you know, I'm liable to make you a detective.
Can I see the jail now?
Seeing the jail ain't allowed, Bert. You know that.
Oh, I bet you there isn't even a jail. I don't see any bars in the cellar windows.
Bert, on my word of honor, there is a jail in the basement. I showed you my gun, didn't I?
But that's a hunting gun.
It's an arresting gun.
Then why don't you ever arrest anybody? Tommy said another dirty word to Doris yesterday, and you didn't even demote him.
Yeah, that's a dangerous character, that Tommy. What word does he say?
Oh, I can't say that.
Just give me an idea.
I can't. It's not a nice word.
Just whisper it in my ear. I'll close my eyes. Maybe I won't even hear it.
I can't, Mr. Keller.
Don't make him do that.
Oh, all right, Bert. I'll take your word. Now, you go out and you keep both eyes peeled.
For what?
For what? Bert, the entire neighborhood is counting on you. A policeman don't ask questions. Now, peel them eyes.
Okay.
Mum's the word, Bert.
About what?
Just in general. Be very careful.
Okay.
I'm seeing you.
See you some more.
I got all the kids crazy.
Yeah, one of these days they'll all come in here and beat your brains out.
What's she gonna say? Maybe we ought to tell her before she sees it.
She saw it.
How could she see it? I was the first one up. She was still in bed.
She was out here when it broke.
When?
About 4 this morning. I heard it cracking and I woke up and looked out. She was standing right there when it cracked.
What was she doing out here at 4 in the morning?
I don't know. When it cracked, she ran back to the house and cried in the kitchen.
Did you talk to her?
No, I figured the best thing was just leave her alone.
She cried hard.
I could hear her right to the floor of my room.
She's dreaming about him again. She's walking around at night.
I guess she is.
She's getting like just after he died. What's the meaning of that?
I don't know the meaning of it. But I know one thing, Dad. We've made a terrible mistake with Mother.
What?
Being dishonest with her. That kind of thing always pays off, and now it's paying off.
What do you mean dishonest?
You know Larry's not coming back, and I know it. Why do we go on allowing her to think we believe with her?
What do you want to do? Argue with her?
I don't want to argue with her. But it's time she realized that nobody believes Larry is alive anymore. Why shouldn't she dream of him? Walk the nights waiting for him? Do we contradict her? Do we say straight out that we have no hope anymore? That we haven't had hope for years now?
You can't say that to her.
We've got to say it to her.
How are you going to prove it? Can you prove it?
For God's sakes, 3 years. Nobody comes back after 3 years. It's insane.
You it isn't to me, but not to her. There's no body and there's no grave, so where are you?
All right, sit down, Dad. I want to talk to you.
Trouble is that damn papers, every month some boy shows up out of nowhere, so...
All right.
The next one's going to be Larry. So.
All right, listen. Now, you know why I asked Annie here, don't you?
Why?
You know.
Well, I've got an idea. What's the story, Bruce?
I'm going to ask her to marry me.
That's only your business.
You know it's not only my business.
Well, you're old enough to know your own mind.
Then it's all right then. I'll go ahead with it.
You might want to check and see if...
Then it isn't just my business.
I'm just saying.
You know, sometimes you infuriate me, you know that? Isn't it your business too if I tell this to Mother and she throws a fit about it? You have such talent for ignoring things.
I ignore what I gotta ignore. The girl is Larry's girl.
She's not Larry's girl.
From Mother's point of view, he is not dead, and you have no right to marry his girl. Now, you can go on from there if you know where to go, but I don't know where to go, see? I don't know. So what can I do for you?
I don't know why it is, but every time I reach out for something I want, I have to pull back because somebody else will suffer. My whole bloody life. Time after time after time.
Well, you're a considerate fellow. There's nothing wrong with that.
To hell with that.
Did you ask Annie yet?
I wanted to get this settled first.
How do you know she'll marry you? Maybe she feels the same way Mother does.
Well, if she does, then that's the end of it. From her letters, I think she's forgotten it. I'll find out, and then we'll thrash it out with Mother. Right? Dad, don't avoid me.
You know what the trouble is? You didn't see enough women. You never have.
So what? I'm not fast with women.
I don't see why it has to be Annie.
Because it is.
Well, that's a good answer, but it don't answer anything. You haven't seen her since you went to war. It's 5 years.
I can't help it. I know her best. I was brought up next door to her. These years, when I think of someone for my wife, I think of Annie. What do you want, a diagram?
I don't want a diagram. She thinks he's coming back. Chris, you marry that girl and you're pronouncing him dead. Now what's going to happen to Mother? Do you know? I don't.
All right then, Dad.
Give it some more thought.
I've given it 3 years of thought. I hoped if I waited, Mother would forget Larry, and we'd have a regular wedding, and everything happy, but if that can't happen here, I'll have to get out.
What the hell is this?
I'll get out. I'll get married and live someplace else, maybe in New York.
Are you crazy?
Hey, I've been a good son for too long. A good sucker. I'm through with it.
You've got a business here. What the hell is
The
this?
business. The business doesn't inspire me.
Must you be inspired?
Yes! I like it an hour a day. If I have to grub for money all day long, at least at evening I want it beautiful. I want a family. I want some kids. I want to build something I can give myself to. Annie is in the middle of that. Now, where do I find it?
You mean... Tell me something. You mean you'd leave the business?
Yes. On this I would.
Don't think like that, Chris.
Then help me stay here.
All right, but don't think like that, because what did I work for, Chris? It's all for you. The whole shooting match is for you.
I know that, Dad. Just, you help me stay here.
Don't think like that.
I am thinking that way.
I don't understand you, do I?
No, you don't. I'm a pretty tough guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Joe,
Hello, Mom.
Did you take a bag from under the sink?
Yeah, I put it in the pail.
Well, get it out of the pail. That's my potatoes.
I thought it was garbage.
Would you do me a favor, Joe? Don't be helpful.
Well, I think I can afford another bag of potatoes.
Minnie scoured that pail last night in boiling water. It's cleaner than your teeth.
And I don't see why after I worked 40 years and I got a maid, why I have to take out the garbage.
If you would make up your mind that every bag in the kitchen wasn't full of garbage, then you wouldn't be throwing out my vegetables. Last time it was the onions.
I don't like garbage in the house.
Then don't eat.
That settles you for today.
Yeah, I'm in last place again. You know, once upon a time I thought if I had money again, I'd have a maid and my wife would take it easy. Well, now I've got money, I got a maid, and my wife is working for the maid.
What are you crabbing about? It's her day off.
Isn't Annie finished eating yet?
She'll be right out. The wind sure did a job on this place. So much for that tree, thank God.
Sit down, take it easy.
I got such a funny pain on the top of my head.
Can I get you an aspirin?
No more roses. It's so funny. Everything that happens seems to be happening all at the same time. This month is his birthday, and his tree blows down. Annie comes. Everything that happens seems to be coming back. I was just down in the cellar, and what did I stumble over? His baseball glove. I haven't seen it in a century.
Don't you think Annie looks well?
Oh, fine. No doubt about it, she's a beauty. I still don't know what brought her here. Not that I'm not glad to see her.
I just thought we'd all like to see her again. And I wanted to see her again myself.
The only thing is, I think her nose has gotten longer. But I'll always love that girl. She's one that didn't jump into bed with someone else as soon as it happened with her fellow.
What are you crabbing?
Oh, never mind. Most of them didn't wait till the telegrams were open. I'm just glad she's here so that you can see I'm not completely out of my mind.
Just because she isn't married doesn't mean she's been mourning Larry.
Why isn't she?
Well, it could be any number of things.
Like what, for instance?
I don't know. Whatever it is, can I get you that aspirin?
It's not like a headache.
You don't sleep, that's why. She's wearing out more bedroom slippers than shoes.
I had a terrible night. I've never had a night like that before.
What's the matter, Mom? Did you dream?
More than a dream.
About Larry?
I was fast asleep and remember the way he used to fly low past the house when he was in training? When you could see his face in the cockpit going by? That's the way I saw him. Only high up. Way up where the clouds are. He was so real I could reach out and touch him. And suddenly he began to fall and crying to me. Mom! Mom! explosions. I came out here, and the roaring, it was like he was going by. The tree snapped right in front of me, and I woke up. See, we should have never planted a tree for him. I told you it was too soon to plant a tree for him.
Too soon?
Everybody was in such a hurry to bury him. We should have never planted that tree.
Mother! Mother, the wind blew it down. What significance has that got? What are you talking about, Mother? Please don't go through it all again. It's no good. It doesn't accomplish anything. I've been thinking, you know, maybe we ought to start putting our minds to forgetting.
That's the third time you've said that this week.
Because it's not right. We never took up our lives again. We're like at a railroad station, waiting on a train that never comes in.
Get me that aspirin, eh?
Sure. And let's break out of this, huh, Mom? I thought the four of us might all go out for dinner a couple nights. Maybe go dancing at the shore.
Fine. We'll do it tonight.
Swell with me.
Sure. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
You'll start with that aspirin.
Why did he invite her here?
Why does that bother you?
She's been in New York 3.5 years. Why all of a
Well,
sudden?
maybe he just wanted to see her again.
Nobody comes 700 miles just to see.
What do you mean? He lived next door to the girl all his life. Why shouldn't he want to see her again? Don't look at me like that. He hasn't told me any more than he's told you.
He's not going to marry her.
How do you know he's even thinking it?
He's just got that about it.
Well, so what?
What's going on here, Joe?
Now listen, kid.
She's not his girl, Joe. She knows she's not.
You can't read her mind.
Then why is she still single? New York is full of men. Why hasn't she married? Probably 100 people told her she's foolish, but she's waited.
How do you know why she's waited?
Because she knows what I know, that's why. She's as faithful as a rock. In my worst moments, I think of her waiting, and I know that I'm right.
Look, it's a nice day. What are we arguing for?
Nobody in this house to take her faith away, Joe. A stranger might, but not his father, not his brother.
What do you want from me? What do you want?
I want you to act like he's coming back, both of you. Don't you think I haven't noticed the way you've acted since Chris invited her here?
Kate.
I won't stand for any nonsense. Because if he's not coming back, I'll kill myself.
Kate.
Laugh at me, but why did that happen the very night she came? Laugh. But there are meanings in such things. She goes to sleep in his room, and his memorial breaks into pieces. Look at it, Joe, look at it.
Calm yourself.
Believe with me, Joe, I can't stand all alone.
Calm
You
yourself.
read in the papers with me that a man turned up and he'd been missing longer than Larry.
All right. Calm
You
yourself.
above all have got to believe.
Why me above all?
Just don't stop believing.
What does that mean, me above all?
Mr. Keller! Mr. Keller! Mr. Keller! Tommy just said it again!
What?
The
Who?
dirty word!
Uh,
Gee, aren't you gonna arrest him?
well,
I warned him!
Stop that, Bert. Go home. There's no jail here.
Kate.
There's no jail here. I want you to stop the jail business.
He's right across the street, Mr. Keller.
Go home, Bert. I want you to stop that jail business. Stop that whole jail business!
Look at you shaking.
I can't help myself!
What have I got to hide? What the hell's the matter with you?
I didn't say you had anything to hide. I just want you to stop it. Now stop it!
Hey, you Joe.
Hey.
Take a breath of that air, kid. You never get air like that in New York.
Look at that dress. Isn't she the most?
I couldn't resist. I'm taking it right off before I ruin it. How's that for 3 weeks' salary?
It's gorgeous, simply gorgeous.
No kidding. Now, isn't she the prettiest gal you ever saw?
Gained a little weight, haven't you, darling?
It comes and goes.
Look how nice her legs turned out.
Boy, the poplars have gotten thick, haven't they?
Well, it's 3 years, Annie. We're getting old, kid.
How does your mom like New York?
Why'd they take the hammock away?
Oh, no, it broke a couple years ago.
What broke? He had one of his light lunches and flopped into it.
Oh, excuse me.
How do you do? She looks very intelligent.
And this is Jeb, Dr. Bates.
Oh, sure, he writes a lot about you.
Oh, well, don't believe a word. He likes everyone. Back at the battalion, they called him Mother Keller.
I can believe it. You know, it's so strange seeing him come out of that house. I guess I never grew up. It almost seems that Mom and Pop are in there now, and you and my brother doing algebra. And Larry. Trying to copy my homework. Gosh, those dear dead days beyond recall.
Well, I hope that doesn't mean you want me to move out.
Dad, come in here. Mr. Hubbard is on the phone.
I told you before, I don't want to talk to it.
Dear, please.
All right, Susie, all right. I've only just met you, Ann, but if I may offer a piece of advice, when you marry, never, even in your mind, count your husband's money.
Dad.
At once, at once.
I told her to take up the guitar. It'd be a common interest for both of them. Well, he loves the guitar.
Say, let's eat at the shore tonight. Raise some hell around here like we used to before Larry went.
She thinks of him. You see? She thinks of him.
What do you mean, Kate?
Nothing. Just that you remember him. He's in your thoughts.
That's a funny thing to say. How could I help remembering him?
Did you hang up your things, dear?
Yeah. Say, you sure gone in for clothes? I could hardly find room in the closet.
No, that's Larry's room.
You mean... They're Larry's?
Didn't you recognize them?
Well, it never occurred to me that you... I mean, the shoes are all shined.
Well, yes, dear. Annie, I've been so longing to have a nice conversation with you. Tell me something.
What?
I don't know, something nice.
She means, do you go out much?
Oh, shut up.
And are any of them serious?
Why don't you both choke?
Annie, you can't go into a restaurant with this woman anymore. In 5 minutes, 39 strange people are sitting at the table telling her their life story.
If I can't ask Annie a personal question.
Asking her's all right, but don't beat her over the head with it. You're beating her, woman. You're beating her.
Oh, don't let them bulldoze you. Ask me anything you'd like. What do you want to know, Kate? Come on. Let's gossip.
She's the only sensible one here. Your mother. She's not getting a divorce, eh?
No, she's gotten over it now. I think when he gets out, they'll probably live together. In New York, of course.
That's fine, because when all is said and done, your father's a decent man.
I don't care. She can take him back if she likes.
And you go out much?
You mean, am I still waiting for him?
Well, no, I don't expect you to wait.
But that's what you mean, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Well, I'm not, Kate.
You're not.
Isn't it ridiculous? You can't really imagine
Don't
he's...
say it's ridiculous. The papers are full of it. There was half a page about a man that had been missing longer than Larry. He turned up in Burma.
He couldn't have wanted to come home very badly, Mother.
Don't be so smart.
You can have a hell of a time in Burma.
So I've heard.
Mother, I'll bet you're the only woman in the country.
Are you
who has
sure?
agreed- Yes, I am.
Well, if you're sure, you're sure. I don't hear it on the radio, but I'm sure that in the dark of night, they're still waiting for their sons.
Mother, you are absolutely...
Oh, don't be so damn smart. There's a few things I have to say that you don't know, and I'm going to tell you one right now. Deep in your heart, Annie, you've always been waiting for him.
No, Kate.
But deep down, Annie,
She ought to know, shouldn't she?
don't let them tell you how to think. Listen to your heart. Only your heart.
Why does your heart tell you he's alive?
Because he has to be.
But why?
Because certain things have to be and certain things can never be. Like the sun. It has to be. That's why there's a God. So certain things can never happen. Like the day Chris went to that terrible battle. Did he write me? Was it in the papers? No. But I couldn't lift my head up off the pillow that day. Ask Joe. Suddenly I knew. I knew that he was almost killed. Annie, you know that I'm right.
No, Kate.
I have to have some tea.
Annie, how are you? Gee whiz.
Oh, why, Frank? You're losing your hair.
He's got responsibility, kids.
Gee whiz.
Without Frank, the stars wouldn't know when to come out.
You look more womanly. You've matured. You.
Take it easy, Frank. You're a married man.
You still haberdashery.
Sure, why not? Maybe I too can get to be president. How's your brother? Got his degree, I hear.
George has his own office now.
Don't say. And your dad?
Fine. I'll be in to see Lydia.
Oh, well, how about it? Does Dad expect a parole soon?
I really don't know.
Because I feel that if an intelligent man like your father is put in prison, there ought to be a law that says you either execute him or let him go after a year.
Want a hand with that ladder, Frank?
It's all right. I'll finish the horoscope tonight, Kate. See you later, Anne. You look wonderful.
Haven't they stopped talking about Dad?
Nobody talks about him anymore.
Gone and forgotten, Jake.
Tell me, I don't want to meet anybody on the
I
block
don't
if
want you
it-
to worry about it.
Do they still remember the case, Joe? Do they still talk about you?
The only one still talks about it is my wife.
That's because you keep playing policeman with the kids. All the parents hear out of you is jail, jail, jail.
Actually, what happened is when I got out of the penitentiary, the kids took a sudden interest in me. You know, kids. I was like the expert on the jail situation. As time went by, they got it confused, and I ended up a detective.
Only they didn't get it confused. He keeps passing out badges from the post-toasty box.
Gosh, it's wonderful to hear you laughing about it.
Why? What did you expect?
Well, the last thing I remember on this block is one word. Murders. You remember that, Kate? Mrs. Hammond standing in front of our house, yelling that word. She's still around, I suppose.
They're all still around.
Don't listen to her. Annie, every Saturday night, the whole gang is in this arbor playing poker. And the ones who yell murder, they're taking my money now.
Don't, Jay. She's a sensitive girl. Don't. It's different with Dad. He was exonerated, but your father's still there. Honestly, Annie, I wasn't too enthusiastic about you coming. I told Chris, I said...
Listen, you do like I did and you'll be all right. The day I come home, I got out of my car. Not across the street, but on the corner. You should have been here, Annie, and you too, Chris. You'd have seen something. Everybody knew I was getting out that day. The porches were loaded. I just pictured not a one of them thought I was innocent. The story was I pulled a fast one to get myself exonerated. So I get out of the car and I walk down the street, real slow, and with a smile. The Beast! I was the Beast. The guy who sold cracked cylinder heads to the Army and Air Force. The guy who made 21 P-40s crash in Australia. Kid, walking down that street that day, I was guilty as hell. Except I wasn't. And I had a court paper in my pocket to prove I wasn't. So I walked past the porches. Result, 14 months later, I've got one of the best shops in the state again, a respected man again, bigger than ever.
Joe McGuts.
That's the only way you let them miss guts. Annie, you made it tough on your father when he gets out. That's why I say I'd like to see you back right on this block.
How could he move back?
Because it ain't gonna be over until he moves back, until people play cards with him and smile with him and talk to him. If you play cards with a man, you know he can't be a murderer. So the next time you write that, I want you to tell him what I said. You hear me?
Don't you hold anything against him?
Annie, I never believed in crucifying people.
But he was your partner and he dragged you through the mud.
Well, he ain't my sweetheart, but you gotta forgive, don't you?
You either, Kate? Don't you feel
Next
any...
time you write that,
I don't write to him.
well, every now and then you...
No. I've never written to him. Neither has my brother. Say, do you feel this way too?
He murdered 21 pilots.
What the hell kind of talk is that?
That's not a way to talk about a man.
What else can you say? When they took him away, I followed him. I went to him every visiting day. I was crying all the time until the news came out about Larry. And then I realized it's wrong to pity a man like that. Father or no father, he knowingly shipped out parts that would crash an airplane. And how do you know Larry wasn't one of them?
I was waiting for you to say that. As long as you're here, I want you never to say that again.
You surprised me. I thought you'd be mad at him.
What your father did had nothing to do with Larry. Nothing!
But we can't know that.
As long as you're here!
But Kate!
Get it out of your head!
Because...
That's all! That's enough! Now come inside and have some tea.
Annie, the one thing you need to tell your...
He's not dead, so there's no argument. Now come inside.
In a minute! Now look, Annie.
All right. Dad, forget it.
No, she doesn't feel
Are you going to cut it out? I'm sick of the whole subject.
You want her to go on like this? You know those cylinder heads went into P-40s. Oh, what's the matter with you? You know Larry never flew a P-40.
So who flew those P-40s? Pigs?
The man was a fool, but don't make a murderer out of him. You got no sense. Well, look what it does to him. You got to understand what was doing in that shop in the war, the both of you. It was a madhouse. The major called it every half hour for cylinder heads. He was whipping us with the telephone. The trucks, they were hauling them away hot. Well, damn near. Just try to see it human. See it human. All of a sudden, a patch comes out with a crack. That happens. That's the business. It's a small hairline crack. So he's a little man, your father, always scared of loud voices. What do the majors say? Half a day's production shot. What do I say? You know what I mean. Human. So he takes out his tools and he covers over the cracks because that's what a little man does. If I could have gone in that day, I would have told him, "Chunk him, Steve, we can afford it." But alone, he was afraid. I know he meant no harm, and I know he thought they'd hold up 100%. That's a mistake, but it ain't murder. You mustn't feel that way about him. It ain't right.
Joe, let's forget it.
Annie, the day the news came out about Larry, he was in the cell next to my dad, and he cried, Annie. He cried half the night.
He should have cried all night.
Annie, I do not
Are
understand.
you going to stop it?
Don't! He'll let him. He just wants everybody to be happy.
That's my sentiment. Can you stand a steak?
And champagne.
Now you're operating. I'll call Swanson's for a table. Gonna be a big time tonight, Annie.
Can't scare me.
Oh, I like that girl. Wrap her up. You got nice legs, Annie. I want to see everybody drunk tonight. Look at him. He's blushing.
Drink your tea, Casanova. Isn't he a great guy?
You're the only one I know who loves his parents.
I know, it went out of style, didn't it?
That's all right. That's a good thing. You know, it's lovely here. The air is sweet.
You're not sorry you came?
I'm not sorry, no, but I'm not going to stay.
Why?
In the first place, your mother as much as told me to go.
Well,
You saw that? And then you've been kind of,
what?
well, kind of embarrassed ever since I got here.
Well, the trouble is, I planned on kind of sneaking up on you over a period of a week or so. But they take it for granted we're all set.
I knew they would. Your mother, anyways.
How did you know?
From her point of view, why else would I come?
Well, would you want to? I mean, I guess you know this is why I asked you to come.
I guess this is why I came.
And I love you. I love you a great deal. I love you. I have no imagination. That's all I know to tell you. I'm embarrassing you. I didn't want to tell it to you here. I wanted someplace we'd never been, a place where we'd be brand new to each other. You feel it's wrong here, don't you? This yard, this chair. I want you to be ready for me. I don't want to win you away from anything.
Chris, I've been ready a long, long time.
Then he's gone forever. You sure?
I almost got married 2 years ago.
Why didn't you?
You started to write to me,
You felt something that far back.
and every day since.
Anne, why didn't you let me know?
I was waiting for you. Till then, you never wrote, and when you did, what did you say? You sure can be ambiguous, you know.
Anne, give me a kiss. Give me a... God, I kissed you. I kissed Annie. How long I've been waiting to kiss you.
I'll never forgive you. Why did you wait all these years? All I've done is sit and wonder if I was crazy for thinking of you.
Annie, we're gonna live now. I'm gonna make you so happy.
Not like that, you're not.
I kissed you.
Like Larry's brother. Do it like you, Chris. What is it?
Let's drive someplace. I want to be alone with you.
No, Chris, what is it? Your mother?
No, it's nothing like that.
Then what? Even in your letters there was something ashamed.
Yes, I suppose I have been. But it's going from me.
You've got to tell me.
I don't even know where to start.
I want to work like this.
It's all mixed up with so many other things. Do you remember overseas I was in command of a company?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I lost them.
How many?
Just about all.
Oh, gee.
It takes a little time to toss that off. Because they weren't just men. For instance, one time it had been raining several days and this kid came to me, gave me his last pair of dry socks. Just put them in my pocket. I mean, that's only a little thing, but that's the kind of guys I had. They didn't die. They killed themselves for each other. And I mean that exactly. a little more selfish, and they'd have been here today. And I got an idea watching them go down. Everything was being destroyed, see, but it seemed that one new thing was made. A kind of responsibility, man for man, you understand me? To show that. To bring that onto the earth again like some kind of a monument. And everyone would feel it standing there behind him. And it would make a difference to him. And then I came home. And it was incredible. There was no meaning in it here. The whole thing to them was a kind of a bus accident. I went back to work with Dad at the rat place again. And I felt what you said. Ashamed somehow. Because nobody was changed at all. It seemed to make suckers out of a lot of guys. I felt wrong to be alive, to open the bank book, to drive the new car, to see the new refrigerator. I mean, you could take those things out of a war, but when you drive that car, you gotta know that it came out of the love that a man can have for a man. And you gotta be a little better because of that. Otherwise, all you have is really loot. And there's blood on it. And I didn't want to take any of it. And I guess I felt that way about you too.
And you still feel that way?
I want you now, Amy.
Because you mustn't feel that way. Because you have a right to whatever you have. Understand, Chris? Everything. To me too. And the money. There's nothing wrong in your money. Your father put hundreds of planes in the air. You should be proud. A man should be paid for that.
Oh, Annie. Annie. I'm gonna make a fortune for you.
Hello? Yeah, sure.
What'll I do with the fortune?
And your brother. What is this, Labor Day?
All right.
You shouldn't burst out like that.
Well, nobody told me it was Labor Day. Where's the hot dogs at?
All right, you said it once.
Well, as long as I know it's Labor Day, I'll wear a bell around my neck.
He's so subtle.
George Bernard Shaw is an elephant.
George, hey, you kissed it right out of my head. Your brother's on the phone.
My brother?
Yeah, George, long distance.
What's the matter? Did anything happen?
I don't know. You better hurry up. Kate's talking to him. She'll cost him $5.
I wonder if we ought to tell your mother yet. I'm not very good in an argument.
We'll wait till tonight, after dinner. Now don't get tense, just leave it to me.
What are you telling her?
We're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything?
I'm glad, Chris. George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus.
Yeah. And he say anything about him going to see his father today?
I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of a question is that?
I'm just wondering. I mean, all this time, George don't go see his father. Then suddenly he goes and she comes here.
Well, what about it?
Well, it's crazy, but it comes to my mind. She doesn't hold anything against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
I'm just talking. I mean, to his last day in court, the man blamed it all on me. And this is his daughter. And if she's come here to find something out.
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened?
They want to open up the case again for the nuisance value to hurt us.
What
Dad,
did he say?
how could you think that
For
hurt?
God's sake?
It could be.
You amaze me.
All right, forget it, forget it. I want a clean start for you, Chris. I think I want a new sign over the plant. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller is good enough.
We'll talk about it. I'm gonna build you a house, stone, with a driveway from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made. I mean, with joy, Chris, without shame, with joy.
I will, Dad.
Then say it to me.
Why?
Because there's nothing wrong with that money. Sometimes I think you're ashamed.
No, don't feel that.
Because it's good money. There's nothing wrong with it.
You don't have to tell me this.
I'm going to go work on Mother for you. We'll get her so drunk tonight, we'll all get married. There's going to be a wedding, kid, like there's never been seen. Champagne, tuxedos.
Simply because when you get excited, you can't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. All right, goodbye.
Something happened.
He's coming here.
On the 7 o'clock. He's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Yeah, sure. Your father took sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid. You know my brother. Let's go for a drive or something.
Sure, give me the keys, Dad.
Drive through the park. It's beautiful now.
Come on in. Be back right away.
See you.
Take your time. What does George want here?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see anybody way, he says.
What for?
He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, and he's never once sent a postcard to his father. Not one postcard.
So what?
Now, all of a sudden, he has to take an airplane from New York to see him? An airplane?
Well, so?
Why?
I don't read minds, do you?
Why, Joe? Why has Steve suddenly got to tell him that he has to take an airplane?
What do I care what Steve's got to tell him?
You sure, Joe?
Yes, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right, Joe. Just be smart. Did you have to put on your good pants to do that? You notice there's more light with that thing gone.
Why aren't you dressing?
It's suffocating upstairs. I made a grapefruit for Georgie. He always liked grape. Come and have some.
Well, come on, get dressed. And what's Dad sleeping so much for?
He's worried. And when he's worried, he sleeps. We're done, Chris. Your dad and I are stupid people. We don't know anything. You've got to protect us.
You're silly. What's there to be afraid of?
To his last day in court, Steve never gave up the idea that your father made him do it. They open up that case again. I won't live through it.
George is just a damned fool, Mother. How can you take him seriously?
That family hates us. Maybe even Annie.
Oh, now, Mother.
Chris, you think that just because you like everybody, that everybody likes you.
Stop working yourself up. Now just leave everything to me.
When George goes home, tell her to go with him.
Don't worry about Annie.
Steve is her father, too.
Are you going to cut it out? Now come.
You don't realize how people can hate Chris. They can hate so much that they can tear the world to pieces.
Look, she's dressed. I just have to put on a shirt.
Are you feeling well, Kate?
What's the difference, dear? With certain people, the sicker they are, the longer they live.
You look nice.
We're telling her tonight.
Absolutely, don't worry about it.
I wish we could tell her now. I can't stand scheming. My stomach gets all hard.
It's not scheming. We'll just get her in a better mood.
The only one who's relaxed around here is your father. He's fast asleep.
Hey, I'm relaxed.
Are you?
Look. Let me know when George comes.
Johnny, come get your supper.
It's my husband.
Oh,
I'm terribly sorry.
it's all right. I'm a little silly about the dark.
It is getting dark.
You looking for your husband?
As usual, he spends so much time here they'll be charging him rent.
Nobody was dressed, so he drove over to the depot to pick up my brother.
Are your brothers in?
Yeah, they should be back in a minute. Would you like a cold drink?
I will, thanks. My husband, too hot to drive me to the beach. Men are like little boys. For the neighbors, they'll always cut the grass.
People like to do things for the Kellers. Been that way since I can remember.
It's amazing. So your brother's coming in to give you away, huh?
I don't know, I suppose.
You must be all nerved up.
It's always a problem getting yourself married, isn't it?
Well, it depends on your shape, of course. I don't see why you should have had a problem.
I've had chances.
I'll bet. It's romantic. It's unusual to me, marrying the brother of your sweetheart.
I don't know, I think it's... Whenever I needed somebody to tell me the truth, I thought of Chris. When he tells me something, you know it's so. He relaxes me.
And he's got money. That's important, you know.
That wouldn't matter to me.
You'd be surprised. It makes all the difference. I married an intern on my salary. And that was bad, because as soon as a woman supports a man, he owes her something. You can never owe somebody without resenting them. That's true, you know.
Underneath, I think the doctor's very devoted.
Certainly. But it's bad when a man always sees the bars in front of him. Jim thinks he's in jail all the time.
Oh,
That's why I've been intending to ask you a small favor, Anne. It's something very important to me.
certainly if I can do it.
You can. When you take up housekeeping, try to find a place away from here.
Are you fooling?
I'm very serious. My husband is unhappy with Chris around.
How's that?
Jim's got an idea that he'd like to do medical research, but he's a successful doctor.
Isn't that good?
Well, medical research only pays $25 a week, minus laundering the hair shirt. You've got to give up your life to get into it.
How does Chris...
Chris makes people want to be better than it's possible to be. He does that to people.
Is that bad?
My husband has a family, dear. Every time he has a session with Chris, he feels as though he's compromising by not giving up everything for research, as if Chris or anybody else isn't compromising. It happens with Jim every couple of years. He meets a man and makes a statue out of him.
Well, maybe he's right. I don't mean Chris is a statue, but...
No, darling, you know he's not right.
I don't agree with you, Chris.
Let's face it, dear. Chris is working with his father, isn't he? He's taking money out of that business every week in the year.
What of it?
You ask me what of it?
I certainly do. You often cast aspersions like that. I'm surprised at you.
You're surprised at me.
Chris wouldn't take 5 cents out of that plant if there was anything wrong in it.
You know that.
I know it. I resent everything you've said.
You know what I resent, dear?
Please, I don't want to argue.
I resent living next door to the Holy Family. It makes me look like a bum, you understand?
I can't do anything about that.
Who is he to ruin a man's life? Everybody knows Joe pulled a fast one to get out of jail.
That's not true.
Then go out and talk to people. Go out and talk to them. There's not a person on this block who doesn't know the truth.
That's a lie. People come here all the time for cards and...
So what? They give him credit for being smart. I do too. I've got nothing against Joe. But if Chris wants people to put on the hair shirt, let him take off his broadcloth. He's driving my husband crazy with that phony idealism of his, and I'm at the end of my rope on it. Hello, darling. How's Mother?
I thought George came.
No, it was just us.
Susie, do me a favor, huh? Go upstairs and check on Mother. She's all worked up.
She still doesn't know about you two.
Well, she senses it, I guess. You know,
Oh yeah, she's psychic.
maybe there's something in the medicine chest.
I'll give her one of everything. Don't worry about Kate. A couple of drinks, dance her around a little. She'll love Anne. Because you're the female version of him. Don't be alarmed, I said version.
An interesting woman, isn't she?
Very interesting.
She's a great nurse, you know.
Are you still doing that?
Doing what?
As soon as you get to know somebody, you find a distinction for them. How do you know she's a great nurse?
What's the matter?
The woman hates you. She despises you.
Hey, what's hit you?
Gee, Chris,
What happened here?
you never... Why didn't you tell me?
Tell you what?
She says they think Joe's guilty.
What difference does it make what they think?
I don't care what they think. I just don't understand why you took the trouble to deny it. You said it was all forgotten.
I didn't want you to feel there was any trouble in you coming here, that's all. I know a lot of people think my father was guilty, and I guess I assumed there might be some question in your mind.
But I never once said I suspected him.
Well, nobody says it.
Chris, I know how much you love him, but it
Do
could
you
never...
think I could forgive him if he had done that thing?
I'm not here out of a blue sky, Chris. I turned my back on my father. If there's anything wrong here now...
I know that, Anne.
George is coming from Dad. And I don't think it's with a blessing.
He's welcome here. You got nothing to fear from George.
Tell me that, just... Tell me that.
Anne, the man is innocent. He was falsely accused once and it put him through hell. How would you behave if you were faced with the same thing again? Annie, believe me, there's nothing wrong for you here. Believe me, kid.
All right, Chris. All right.
Every time I come out here, it looks like playland.
I thought you were going to shave.
In a minute, I just woke up. I can't see nothing.
You look shaved.
Oh, no. Oh, gotta be extra special tonight. Big night, Annie. How's it feel to be a married woman?
I don't know yet.
What's the matter? You slipping?
The Great Rouet.
What is that, Rouet?
It's French.
Don't talk dirty.
You ever meet a bigger ignoramus?
Somebody's gotta make a living.
That's telling him.
You know, it's getting so everybody's getting so damn educated in this country, there's not gonna be anybody left to take away the garbage. Getting so the only dumb ones left are the bosses.
You're not so dumb, Joe.
I know, but you come into our plant, for instance, I got so many lieutenants, majors, and colonels, I'm ashamed to ask somebody to sweep the floor. I gotta be careful. I'll insult somebody. You know, it's a tragedy. You stand on the street today and spit, you're gonna hit a college man.
Well, don't spit.
I'm just saying, it's coming to pass. I've been thinking, Annie, your brother George. I've been thinking about your brother George. When he comes, I got something I'd like for you to brooch with him.
Brooch.
What's the matter with brooch?
It's not English.
When I went to night school, it was brooch.
Well, in day school, it's brooch.
Don't surround me. Seriously, Anne, you say he's not well, George. I've been thinking, why should he knock himself out in New York with all that cutthroat competition when I've got so many friends here? I'm very friendly with some big lawyers in town. I could set George up here.
That's awfully nice of you, Joe.
No, kid, it ain't nice of me. I want you to understand me. I'm thinking of Chris. See, as you get older, you want to feel that you accomplished something. My son is my only accomplishment. I ain't brainy, and that's all that I accomplished. Now, a year, 18 months from now, your father's going to be a free man. Who's he going to come to, Manny? His baby. You. He's going to come old, mad, into your house.
That can't matter anymore, Joe.
I don't want that hate to come between me and Chris.
All I can tell you is that that could never happen.
Annie, you're in love now, but believe me, I'm older than you, and I know. A daughter is a daughter, and a father is a father, and it could happen. And that's why I'd like for you and George to go to Dad and tell him, Dad, Joe wants to bring you into the business when you get out.
You'd have him as a partner?
No partner, a good job. I want him to know, Annie, while he's sitting there in prison, I want him to know that he's got a place waiting for him. It'd take his bitterness away, to know you got a place. It's sweet.
Joe, you owe him nothing.
No, I owe him a good kick in the teeth, but he's your
Then
father.
kick him in the teeth. I don't want him in the plant, so that's that, you understand? And don't talk about him like that. People misunderstand you.
I do not understand why she has to crucify the man.
Well, it's her father. If she feels...
No.
Well, what's it to you?
A father is a father! I'd better go shave. I didn't mean to yell at you, Annie.
Let's forget the whole thing, Joe.
Right. She's likable.
Shave, will ya?
Right again.
I forgot all about it. Hiya. I promised Kate I'd fix her hair for tonight. Did she comb it yet?
Always a smile, Olivia.
Well, sure, why not?
Sure, come on up and comb my Katie's hair. She's got a big night tonight. Make her beautiful.
I will.
Hey, that could be a song. Oh, coming up and comb my Katie's hair. Coming up, oh, she's my lady fair. How's that for 1 year of night school, huh? Oh, coming up and comb my lady's hair.
What's the matter? Where is he?
Where's your mother?
Upstairs, dressing.
What happened to George?
I asked him to wait in the car. Listen, can you take some advice? Don't bring him in here.
Why?
Kate's in bad shape. You can't explode this in front of her.
Explode what?
Well, you know why he's here. Don't try to kid it away. There's blood in his eye. Now drive him somewhere and talk to him alone.
Don't be an old lady.
He's come to take her home. What does that mean? And you know what that means. Now fight it out with him somewhere else.
I'll drive him somewhere.
No.
Will you stop being an idiot?
Nobody is afraid of him here. Now cut that out. George. Hell of a way to do. What are you waiting out there for?
Doctor said your mother isn't well.
So what? She'd want to see you, wouldn't she? We've been waiting for you all afternoon.
This is filthy. Didn't you bring another shirt?
How about the beach, Jim?
It's too hot to drive.
How'd you get to the station? Zeppelin?
George. This is Mrs. Bayless. George. Mrs. Bayless.
How do you do?
You're the people who bought our house, aren't you?
That's right. Come and see what we did with it before you leave.
I liked it the way it was.
It's Frank, isn't he?
We'll see you later. Take it easy, fella.
Thanks for driving him. How about some grape juice, George? Mother made it especially for you.
Good old Kate. Remembered my grape juice.
You sure drank enough of it in this house. How have you been, George? Sit down.
Takes me a minute. Seems impossible.
What?
I'm back here.
Say, you've gotten a little nervous, haven't you?
Towards the end of the day. So, what are you? Big executive now?
Just kind of medium. How's the law?
I don't know. When I was studying in the hospital, it seemed sensible, but out here, doesn't seem to be much of a law. Trees got thick, didn't they? What's that?
Blew down last night. We had it there for Larry, you know.
Why? Afraid you'll forget him?
What kind of remark is that?
When did you start wearing a hat?
Since today, I decided to start looking like a lawyer at least. Don't you recognize it?
Why? Where?
It's your father's. He asked me to wear it.
How is he?
He got small.
Small.
Yeah, little. He's a little man. That's what happens to suckers in prison, you know? Good thing I went to him in time another year and there'd be nothing left but his smell.
What's the matter, George? What's the trouble?
The trouble is that when you make suckers out of someone once, you shouldn't try to do it twice.
What's that mean?
You're not married yet, are you?
George, will you stop it and sit down?
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not married yet.
You're not going to marry him.
Why am I not going to marry him?
Because his father destroyed your family!
Now look, George.
Cut it short, Chris! Tell her to come home with me. You know what I've got to say. Let's not have an argument.
George, you don't want to be the voice of God, do you?
I am
That's
not-
been your trouble all your life, George. You dive into things. Now, what kind of statement is that to make? You're a big boy now.
I'm a big boy
Don't
now.
come bullying in here. If you got something to say, be civilized about it.
Don't civilize
You're going
me!
to talk like a grown man, aren't you?
George, sit down. Don't be angry. Now what happened? You kissed me when I left, now you...
My whole world turned upside down since then. I couldn't go back to work once you left. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him you were going to be married. It seemed impossible not to tell him. He loved you so much. Annie, we did a horrible thing. Not even to send him a card at Christmas. I didn't see him once since I got home from the war. Annie, you don't know what happened. You don't know what was done to that man.
Of course I know.
You can't know! You wouldn't be here if you did. Dad went into work that morning. The night foreman came to him and showed him the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. So Dad called here and told Joe to come down right away. Morning passes. No sign of Joe. So Dad calls again. By this time, he had over 100 defectives. The Army's on the phone screaming for things, and Dad doesn't have anything to ship them. So Joe tells him on the phone. Joe tells him to, well, cover up the cracks in any way he could and ship them out.
Are you through?
I am not through yet! Dad was scared. If he was going to do it, he wanted Joe there. But Joe can't come. He's sick. Sick! All of a sudden he gets the flu. But he tells him he'll take responsibility. You can't have responsibility on the phone. In court, you can always deny a phone call, and that's exactly what he did. He's do it the first time, but in the appeals, they will leave that wrong line now. Joe's the big shot, and your father's the patsy. So tell me, what are you going to do? Eat his food? Sleep in his bed? Tell me, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do, George?
He's too smart for me. I can't prove a phone call.
Then how dare you come in here with that rot?
George, the court...
The court did not know him, Annie! You know him. You know in your heart Joe did it.
Lower your voice or I'll throw you out of here.
She knows!
And get him out of here. Get him out of here.
George, I know everything you've said. Dad
The
told the whole
court
thing in
did
court.
not know him!
But he'd say anything, George. You know how quick he can lie.
Let me ask you something. And you look me in the eyes when you answer me.
I'll look you in the eye.
You know your father.
I know him well.
And he's the kind of boss who would let 120 cylinder heads get repaired and shipped out of his shop without even knowing about it.
He's that kind of boss.
And that's the same Joe Keller who would never leave his shop without making sure all the lights were out.
The same Joe Keller.
And that's the same man who knows how many minutes a day his workers spend on the toilet.
The same man.
And my father, the frightened mouse who would never buy a shirt without someone along, would do that kind of thing on his own.
On his own. And because he's a frightened mouse, this is another thing he'd do. Throw the blame on somebody else because he's not man enough to take it himself. He tried it in court once and it didn't work. But with a fool like you, it works.
Chris, you're lying to yourself!
Don't talk like that.
Tell me something, George. The court record was good enough for you all these years. Why isn't it good now? Why did you believe it all these years?
Because you did. I believed everything because I thought you did. But today, I heard it from his mouth. From his mouth, it's altogether different from the record. Anyone who knows him and knows your father would believe it from his mouth. Your father took everything we had. I can't beat that. But she is what Ida is not going to take. Get your things in. Everything they have here is covered with blood. You're not the kind of girl who can live with that. Get your things.
Annie, you're not going to believe that, are you?
You know it's not true, don't you?
How can he tell you? It's his father! None of these things ever crossed your mind?
Yes, they cross my mind. Anything can cross your mind.
He knows, Andy, he knows!
The voice of God.
Then why isn't your name on the business?
What the hell's that got to do with it?
Tell me, why isn't his name on the business?
Even when I don't own it?
Who are you kidding? Who gets it when he dies? In your eyes. You know the way they love each other. Isn't that the first thing they do? J.O. Keller and Son? You want to settle this? Or are you afraid to?
What do you mean?
Let me go talk to him. In 10 minutes, you'll have the answer. Or are you afraid of the answer?
I'm not afraid of the answer. I know the answer, but my mother isn't well right now, and I don't want to fight here now.
Let me talk to him.
You're not going to start a fight here now.
What more do you want?
Somebody's coming.
You won't say anything now.
He'll go soon. I'll call a cab.
You're coming with me.
And don't mention marriage because we haven't told her yet.
You're coming with me.
Understand, George? Don't. You're not going to start anything now.
Georgie? Georgie!
Hello, Kate.
Oh, they made an old man out of you. Look, you're gray.
I know.
I told you when you went away not to try for medals.
I didn't try. They made it very easy on me.
Go on, you're all alike. Why did you say he looks fine? He looks like a ghost.
I feel all right.
I'm sick to look at you. What's the matter with your mother? Why don't she feed you?
He just hasn't any appetite.
If he ate at my house, he'd have an appetite. I pity your husband. Sit down, and I'll make you a sandwich.
I'm not really hungry.
Honest to God, it breaks my heart to see what happened to all the children. How we worked and planned for you, and you end up no better than us.
You No, Kate, you haven't changed at all.
None of us have changed. We all love you. Joe was just talking about the day you were born and how the water got shut off and people had to carry basins of water from blocks away. A stranger would have thought the whole neighborhood was on fire. Why didn't you give him any juice?
I offered it to him.
You offered it to him? Give it to him. And now you're going to sit here and drink your juice and look like something.
You know, Kate, I'm feeling hungry already.
She could turn Mahatma Gandhi into a heavyweight.
Oh, to hell with the restaurant. I have a ham in the icebox and frozen strawberries and avocados.
Swell. I'll help you.
The train leaves at 8:30 p.m.
Oh, you're leaving?
No, Mother, she's not.
Hey, you only just got here. Why not give yourself a chance to get acquainted again?
Sure, George, but you hardly know us anymore.
Well, Chris, if they can't
No, it's
stay.
just a question of George, Mother. He planned on...
Now, wait a minute, Chris.
If you want to go now, George, I'll drive you to the station. But if you're staying, no arguments while you're here.
Why should there be any arguments? We have no arguments. We all got hit by the same lightning. How could we? Did you see what happened to Larry's tree? Imagine, in the middle of the night, I was sound asleep, but I was dreaming of him, and the wind came around me. Georgie!
Hello, Laffy. What did you do, Crow?
I'm a big girl now. Look what she can do to a hat.
Did you make that?
In 10 minutes. I only rearranged it.
You still make your own clothes?
Ain't she classy? All she needs now is a Russian wolfhound.
It feels like someone's sitting on top of my head.
No, it's beautiful, Kate.
Oh, she's a genius. You should have married this one. She can feed you. Oh, stop that, Kate.
Didn't I hear you had a baby?
You don't hear so good. She's got 3 babies.
No kidding. 3.
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 3. You've been gone a long time, Georgie.
I'm beginning to realize that.
That's the trouble with you kids, is you think too much. We think too. Well, yes, dear, but not all the time.
They never took Frank, huh?
No, he was always 1 year ahead of the draft. It's amazing. When they were calling boys at 27, Frank had just turned 28. And when they changed it to 28, he was 29. That's why he took up astrology. It's all when you were born. It just goes to show.
Oh, what does it go to show?
Don't be so intelligent. Some superstitions are very nice. Has he finished Larry's horoscope? I'll ask him now. I'm going in. Do you want to see my babies? Come on.
I don't think so, Lydia.
Okay. Good luck to you, George.
Thanks, and to you. And Frank.
Oh, Frank! She's pretty, eh?
Very pretty.
She's beautiful, you damn fool.
She makes it seem so nice around here.
Look what happened because you wouldn't listen to me. I told you to marry that girl and stay out of the war.
She used to laugh too much.
And you didn't laugh enough. While you were getting mad about fascism, Frank was getting into her bed.
You won the war, Frank.
All the battles.
When they started the draft, I told you loved that girl.
And truer love hath no man.
I'm smarter than any of you.
She's wonderful.
And now you're going to listen to me, Georgie. You had big principles. All 3 of you. Eagle Scouts. So now, I got a tree. And Chris, when the weather gets bad, he can't stand on his feet. But Frank, that big dope, who reads nothing but anti-gunk, has 3 kids and his house paid off. Stop being a philosopher and look after yourself. Joe was just talking about having you move back here and he'd help you get settled. And I'd find me a girl girl to put a smile on your face.
Joe wants me here?
He asked me to tell you, and I think it's a good idea.
Why, certainly. Well, why do you have to act like you hate us? Is that another principle, that you have to hate us? You don't hate us, Georgie. I know you. You can't fool me. I diapered you. You remember Mr. Marcy's daughter.
She has you hooked already.
You take a good look at her, Georgie. She's the prettiest girl on the block.
She's got warts, George.
She hasn't got warts. So she's got a little beauty mark on her chin.
And 2 on her nose.
You remember. Her father was a retired police inspector.
Sergeant George.
He was a very kind man.
He looked like a gorilla.
He never shot anyone.
Well, look who's here. Georgie, good to see you.
How are you, Joe?
So, getting old. So you coming out to dinner with us?
No, I need to be back in New York.
I'll call a cab for you.
Sorry to hear you can't stay, Georgie. Sit down. He looks fine.
He looks terrible.
That's what I said. George, you look terrible. I wear the pants. She beats me with the belt.
I saw your plan on the way in from the depot. Looked like General Motors.
I wish it was General Motors, but it ain't. Sit down, George. Sit down. So you finally went to see your father, I hear.
Yes, this morning. So, what kind of things do you make now?
A little bit of everything. Pressure cookers, an assembly for washing machines. It's a nice, flexible plant. So how'd you find that? You feel all right?
He's not, well,
Not his heart again, is it?
it's everything. It's his soul.
Uh-huh.
How about seeing what they did with your house, George?
Leave him be.
I'd like to talk to him.
Sure, he just got here. That's what they do, George. A little man makes a mistake, they hang him by the thumbs. The big ones become ambassadors. Wish you'd have told me you were going to see Dad.
I didn't know you were interested.
In a way, I am. I'd like him to know that as far as I'm concerned, and anytime he wants, he's got a place with me. I'd like him to know that.
He hates your guts, Joe. Don't you know that?
I imagined it, but that can change.
Steve was never like that.
He's like that now. He'd like to take every guy who made money in the war and line him up against a wall.
You'll need a lot of bullets.
And he better not get any.
That's a sad thing to hear.
Why? What'd you expect him to think?
It's sad to hear that he hasn't changed. As long as I know the man, 25 years, he's never learned to take the blame for anything. You know that, George?
Yeah, but
You do know, because the way you come in here, you don't look like you remember it. Like in 1937, we had that shop on Flood Street, and he damn near blew us all up with that heater he left burning for 2 days without water. He wouldn't admit that was his fault either. I had to fire a mechanic to save his face. You know that, George? I just mentioned it because that's just one of a lot of things. Like the time he gave Frank that money to invest in oil stock.
I know.
It's good to remember these things, kid. The way he cursed Frank because that stock went down, was that Frank's fault? To hear him tell it, Frank was a swindler. All the man did was give him a bad tip.
I know those things.
Then remember them. Remember them. There are certain men in this world, George, who'd rather see everybody hung before they'll take blame. You understand me, George?
Cab's on its way. Would you like to go wash?
Why must you go, Georgie? Take the midnight.
Sure, you'll have dinner with us.
How about it? Why not? We're eating at the lake tonight. We could have a small time.
All right.
Now you're talking.
I got a shirt that'll go right with that suit.
Size 15 and a half, right, George?
Is Lydia? I mean, is Frank and Lydia coming?
I'll get you a date that'll make
I
her
don't
look.
want to.
I know somebody just for you. Charlotte Tanner.
Call Charlotte, that's right.
Sure, color up.
You go up and pick out a shirt and tie.
You know, I never felt at home anywhere but here. It's... Kate, you look so young, it rings an old bell. Joe, you're surprisingly the same. The whole atmosphere.
Say, I ain't got time to get sick.
He hasn't been laid up in 15 years.
Except my flu during the war.
What?
My flu when I was sick during the war.
Oh, yes, except for that flu. It simply slipped my mind. Don't look at me like that, George. He wanted to go to the shop that day, but he couldn't get himself out of bed. I thought he had pneumonia.
Why did you say...
I understand exactly how you feel, kid. I'll never forgive myself. If I could have gone in that day, I'd never allow Dad to touch those heads.
She said you've never been sick.
I said he was sick, George.
Didn't you hear her? She said he's never been sick!
Do you remember every time you've been sick?
I remember pneumonia! Especially if it was the day my partner was gonna patch up cylinder heads! What happened that day, Joe?
Kate!
Frank, did you see George is here?
Lydia told me. I'm pleased to... You'll have to pardon me. I have something amazing for you, Kate. I finished Larry's horoscope.
George, you'd really be interested in this. He knows how...
George, I got the girl on the phone.
He finished Larry's horoscope!
Frank, can't you pick a better time than this?
The greatest men who ever lived believed in the stars.
Stop filling her head with that junk.
Is it junk to feel there's a greater power than ourselves? I've studied the stars of his life. I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you, somewhere in this world, your brother is alive.
Isn't it possible?
Because it's insane.
Just a minute. Let me tell you something, and you can do with it as you please. Just let me say it. Larry was supposed to have died on November 25th. But November 25th was his favorable day.
Mother.
Listen to him!
It was a day when everything good was shining on him. The kind of day he should have married on. You can laugh at a lot of it. I can understand you laughing. But the odds are 1,000,000 to 1 a man won't die on his favorable day. That's known, Chris. That's known.
Why isn't it possible? Why isn't it possible, Chris?
Don't you understand what she's saying? She just told you to go.
Nobody can tell her to go.
Thank you, dear, for your trouble. Could you tell the driver to wait?
Sure thing.
He'll be right out, driver.
She's not going anywhere, Mother.
He simply told your father to kill pilots and cover himself in bed!
Chris, he misunderstood me.
Answer him, Annie. You better answer him.
I packed your bags, darling.
What?
I packed your bags, and all you have to do is close it.
I'm not closing anything. He asked me here, and I'm not going till he tells me to go. Until Chris tells me to.
That's all. Now get out of here, George.
Chris,
That's all! Nothing more till Christ comes. About the case, about Larry, all of it. As long as I'm here. Now get out of here, George.
You tell me. I want to hear you tell me.
Go, George. Don't take it that way, Georgie. Please don't take it that way.
What do you mean you packed her bag?
Chris.
How dare you pack
She
her
doesn't
bag?
belong
Then
here.
I don't belong
She's
here.
Larry's girl.
And I'm his brother. And he's dead. And I'm marrying his girl.
Never in this world.
You lost your mind.
You have nothing to say.
Oh, I got plenty to say. 3.5 years. You've been talking like a maniac.
Nothing. You have nothing to say. Now I say, your brother's alive and we're all going to wait.
Mother.
Wait.
How long?
Wait.
How long?
Until he comes. Forever and ever until he comes.
Mother, I'm going ahead with it.
Chris, I've never said no to you in my life. But now I say no.
You'll never let go of him until I do it.
I'll never let him father let
I've let him go. I let him go a long
Then
time
let your
ago.
father go!
She's out of her mind.
Altogether. Your brother is alive, darling. Because if he's dead, your father killed him! Do you understand me now? As long as you're alive, that boy lives. Because God doesn't let a father kill his son. Now you see, don't you? Now you see.
She's out of her mind.
Then you did it.
He never flew a P-40.
But the others.
She's out of her mind.
Dad, you did it.
He never flew a P-40. What's the
Then
matter
you
with
did it. To the others.
What's the matter with you? He never flew a P-40.
How
What's the
did
matter?
you do that? How?
What's the matter with you? What the hell's the matter with you?
You killed 21 men.
What? Killed?
You killed them. You murdered them.
How could I kill anybody?
Dad,
I didn't kill anybody.
then explain it to me. Explain it to me or I'll tear you to pieces.
Chris, don't.
I want to know what you did. Now, what did you do? You had 120 cracked engine heads. Now, what did you do?
You're gonna hang me then.
I'm listening. God Almighty, I'm listening.
You're a boy. What could I do? I'm in business. A man is in business. 120 cracked. You're out of business. You got a process. The process don't work. You're out of business. You don't know how to operate. Your stuff is no good. They tear up your contracts. They close you up. What the hell's that to them? You're like 40 years into a business. They knock you out in 5 minutes. What could I do? Let them take 40 years? Let them take my life away? I never thought they'd install them. I thought they'd stop them before anybody took off.
Why'd you ship them out?
Before they could spot them, I thought I'd have the process going again. I could show them how much they needed me. Weeks passed. I got no kickbacks. I was going to tell them.
Then why didn't you tell them?
It was too late. The paper, it was all over the front page. It was too late. They came with handcuffs into the shop. What could I do? Chris, it was a chance I took. And I took it for you. 61 years old, Chris. When would I get another chance to make something for you? 61 years old, you don't get another chance, do ya?
You even knew they wouldn't hold up in the air.
I didn't say
But
that.
you were going to warn them.
It don't
It
mean.
means you knew they'd crash.
It don't mean
Maybe you
that.
thought they'd crash.
I was afraid, maybe.
You were afraid, maybe. God in heaven, what kind of a man are you? Kids were hanging in the air by those heads. You knew that.
For you, Chris, a business
For me! Where do you live? Where have you come from? For me. I was dying every day, and you were killing my boys, and you did it for me. What the hell do you think I was thinking of? The damn business? Is that as far as your mind can see? The business? What is that? The world, the business. What the hell do you mean you did it for me? Don't you have a country? Don't you live in the world? What the hell are you? You're not even an animal. No animal kills his own. What are you? And what must I do to you? I ought to tear that tongue out of your mouth!
Any news?
No news.
You can't stay up all night, dear. Why don't you go to bed?
I'm waiting for Chris. Don't worry about me, Jim. I'm perfectly all right.
But it's almost 2 o'clock.
I can't sleep. You have an emergency?
Yeah. Somebody had a headache and thought they were dying. You know, half my patients are quite mad. Nobody realizes how many people are walking around loose and they're cracked as coconuts. Money. Money, 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 money. You know, when you say it long enough, it doesn't mean anything. I would like to be around when that happens.
You're so childish, Jim. Sometimes you are.
Kate, what happened?
I told you, they had an argument and Chris drove away.
What kind of an argument?
An argument. Joe was crying like a child before.
They argue about Anne?
No, not about him. Imagine, she's been in that room since he left. All night in that room.
What did Joe do? Tell him?
Tell him what?
Don't be afraid, Kate. I know. I've always known. It occurred to me a long time ago.
I always had the feeling that in the back of his mind, Chris somehow knew. I never thought it would be such a shock.
Chris wouldn't know how to live with a thing like that. It takes a certain talent for lying. You have it, I have it, but not him.
What do you mean? He's not coming back?
No, he'll come back. We all come back, Kate. These private little revolutions, they always die. The compromise is always made. You know, in a peculiar way, Frank is right. Every man has a star of one's honesty. And you spend your entire life groping for it. But once it goes out, it never lights again. I don't think he went very far. He probably just wanted to be alone to watch his star go out.
Just as long as he comes back.
I wish he wouldn't. You know, one year I simply took off. Went to New Orleans. For 2 months I lived on bananas and milk, studied a certain disease. It was beautiful. And then she came, and she cried, and I went back home with her, and now I live in the usual darkness. I can't find myself. It's getting kind of hard to remember the kind of man I wanted to be. I'm a good husband. Chris is a good son. Yeah, he'll be back. I have a feeling he's probably down in the park. I'll go look for him there. Put her to bed, Joe. This is no good for what she's got.
What does he want here?
His friend is not home.
I don't like him mixing in so much.
It's too late, Joe. He knows.
How does he know?
He guessed a long time ago.
I don't like that.
What you don't like.
What I don't like.
bowl your way out of this one. You better be smart, because this thing is not over yet.
What's she doing up there? She don't come out of that room.
I don't know what she's doing up there. Sit down and stop being mad. If you want to live, you better figure out your life.
She don't know, does she?
She saw Chris storming out of here. 1 and 1, she knows how to add.
Maybe I ought to talk to her.
Don't ask me.
Then who do I ask? I don't think she'll do anything about it.
You're asking me again.
I'm asking you, what am I, a stranger? What happened to my family here? I thought I had a family.
You have a family. I'm just telling you that I'm too tired to think anymore.
You are too tired. The minute there's trouble, you are too tired.
There you go again. Every time there's trouble, you yell at me and you think that settles it.
Then what do I do? Tell me. Talk to me. What do I do?
Well, I've been thinking that if he comes back...
What do you mean, if? He's coming back.
You need to sit him down and you need to explain yourself. Let him know that you know what you did was a terrible thing, and then maybe he would realize that you...
What ice does that cut?
Tell him you're willing to pay.
How can I pay?
Tell him you're willing to go to prison.
I'm willing to.
You wouldn't go. He wouldn't ask you to go. But just as long as he could see that you were willing to go, then he could forgive you.
He would forgive me for what?
Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. You wanted money, didn't you? So I made money. What must I be forgiven? You wanted money, didn't you?
I didn't want it that way.
I didn't want it that way either. What difference is it what you want? I spoiled the both of you. Should have put him out when he was 10 like I was put out. Made him earn his keep. Then he knew how buck is made in this world. Forgive it. I could live on a quarter a day myself. But I got a family, so.
Joe, it doesn't excuse it that you did it for the family.
It's got to excuse it.
There's something bigger than family to him.
Nothing's bigger than that.
There is to him.
There is nothing he could do that I wouldn't forgive because he's my son, because I'm his father and he's my son.
So I tell you there's something bigger to him.
Nothing's bigger than that. And you're going to tell him. You understand? If there's something bigger than that, then put a bullet in my head.
You stop that.
You heard me. You know what you're going to tell him. But he wouldn't put me away, though. He wouldn't do that, would he?
He loved you.
But to put me away.
And you broke his heart. I don't know what I'll do. I don't think we know him. They say in the war he was such a killer. Around here he's afraid of mice. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know him anymore.
If Larry was here, he wouldn't act like that. He understood the way the world was made. He listened to me. To him, the world had a 40-foot front and it ended at the middle. This one, everything bothers him. You make a deal. You overcharge 2 cents. His hair falls out. He don't understand money. It came too easy. There's a boy who lost their name. Larry. Larry. What am I going to do, Kate? What am I going to do?
It's going to be all right. Nothing's going to happen. It'll be all right.
For you, Kate. That's all I ever lived for.
I know, darling, I know.
When you stay up, I'll tell you when he comes.
Oh, you didn't have any supper. Why don't you make us some?
Yes, I'll come.
Never mind, Kate. I'm all right. I have something I want to tell you. Not going to do anything about it.
You see, she's a good girl. She's a good girl.
I'll do nothing about Joe, but you're going to do something for me. You made Chris feel guilty with me. Whether or not you meant to, you crippled him in front of me. I want you to tell him that Larry's dead and that you know it, understand? I can't go out of here alone. There's no life for me that way. I want you to set him free. And I promise you, this will all end. We'll go, and that's all.
You'll do it, you'll tell him.
I know what I'm asking. You had 2 sons, but you've only got 1 now.
You'll do it, tell him.
And you've got to say it to him so he knows that you mean it.
My dear, if that boy were dead, it would depend on my words to make Chris know it. The minute he climbs into your bed, his heart will dry up. Because he knows and you know. To his dying day, he will wait for his brother. No, my dear, no such thing. You're going in the morning and you're going alone. That's your life. That's your lonely life.
Larry's dead, Kate.
Don't speak to me!
I said he's dead. I know. He crashed off the coast of China on November 25th. His engine didn't fail him, but he died. I know.
How did he die? You're lying to me! How did he die?
I loved him. You know I loved him. If I wasn't sure, would I have looked at anyone else? That's enough for you.
What's enough for me? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Go inside, Joe.
Why?
Please. Go.
Let me know when he comes.
What is that?
Sit down. First, you have to understand that when I came here, I had no idea that Joe... I had nothing against him or you. I came here to get married. I had hope. So I didn't bring this to hurt you. I thought I'd only show it to you if there was no other way to settle Larry in your mind.
Larry?
He wrote it to me before he... I'm not trying to hurt you, Kate. You're making me do this. Now remember, Remember... I've been so lonely, Kate. I can't leave here alone again.
Oh, God.
You made me show it to you. I told you. Why wouldn't you believe me? I told you 100 times. Why wouldn't you believe me? Please, Kate. Please. Kate, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
What's the matter?
Where were you? You're all perspired. Where were you?
I just drove around a little. Thought you'd be gone.
Where do I go? I have nowhere to go.
Where's Dad?
Inside, laying down.
Sit down, both. And I'll say what there is to say.
I didn't hear the car.
I left it in the garage.
Jim is out looking for you.
Mother, I'm going away. There are a couple of firms in Cleveland. I think I can find a place. I mean, I'm going away for good. I know what you're thinking, Annie. It's true. I'm yellow. I was made yellow in this house because I suspected my father and I did nothing about it. But if I knew that night what I know now, he'd be in the district attorney's office by now. And I'd have brought him there. Now, if I look at him, all I can do is cry.
What are you talking about? What else can you do?
I can jail him! I can jail him! If I were human anymore. But I'm like everybody else now. I'm practical. You made me practical.
What else can you be?
The cats in that alley are practical. The bums who ran away when we were fighting, they were practical. Only the dead ones weren't practical. And now, I'm practical. And I spit on myself. I'm going away. I'm going now.
I'm going with you.
No, Ann.
I don't ask you to do anything about Joe.
You do.
I
You
swear, I never will.
In your heart, you always will.
Then do what you have to do.
Do what? What is there to do? I looked all night for a reason to make him suffer.
There's reason. There's reason.
What? Do I raise the dead when I put him behind bars? Then what do I do it for? We used to shoot a man who acted like a dog. But honor was real there. You were protecting something. But here, this is the land of the great big dogs. You don't love a man, here you eat him. That's the principle. The only one we live by just happened to kill a few people this time, that's all. The world's that way. How can I take it out on him? What sense does that make? This is a zoo. A zoo!
You know what he's got to do. Tell him.
Let him go.
I won't let him go. Tell him what he has to do.
Annie!
Then I will.
What's the matter with you? I want to talk to you.
I got nothing to say to you.
I said I want to talk to you.
Don't do that, Dad. I'm gonna hurt you if you do that. There's nothing to say, so say it quick.
Exactly what's the matter? What's the matter with you? You got too much money. Is that what bothers you?
It bothers me.
Well, if you can't get used to it, then throw it away. You hear me? Just take every cent and give it a charity. Throw it in the sewer. Will that settle it? In the sewer? You think I'm telling you what to do. If it's dirty, then burn it. It's your money. It's not my money. I'm a dead man. I'm an old dead man. Nothing's mine. Well, talk to me. What do you want to do?
It's not what I want to do. It's what you want to do.
What should I want to do? Jail. You want me to go to jail? If you want me to go, say so. Is that where I belong? Then tell me so. What's the matter? What can't you tell me? You say everything else to me. Say that! I'll tell you why you can't tell me. Because you know I don't belong here. Because you know. Who worked for nothing in that war? When they worked for nothing, I'll work for nothing. Did they ship a gun or a truck out of Detroit before they got their price? Is that clean? Huh? It's dollars and cents, it's nickels and dimes, it's war and peace, it's nickels and dimes. What's clean? I'll tell you why you can't tell me. Because half the damn country's gotta go if I go. That's why you can't tell me.
That's exactly why.
Why?
I know you're no worse than most men. But I thought you were better. I never saw you as a man. I saw you as my father. I can't look at you this way. I can't look at myself.
Give me that!
He's going to read it. Larry, he wrote it to me the day
Larry?
he died.
Joe, go in the house.
What'd she say, Larry?
Chris, don't read it to him. Please don't read it to him, Chris.
3.5 years. Talking. Now you tell me what you must do. This is how he died. Now you tell me where you belong.
Chris, a man can't forget Jesus in this world.
I know all about the world. I know the whole crap story. Now you listen to this, and you tell me what a man's gotta be. My dear Anne, you listening? He wrote this the day he died. Listen! Don't cry, listen! My dear Anne, it is impossible to put down the things I feel. But I've got to tell you something. Yesterday they flew in a load of papers from the States and I read about your dad and your father being convicted. I can't express myself. I can't tell you how I feel. I can't bear to live anymore. Last night I circled the base for 20 minutes before I could bring myself in. How could he have done that? Every day, 3 or 4 men never come back, and he sits back there doing business. I don't know how to tell you what I feel. I can't face anybody. I'm going out on a mission in a few minutes. They'll probably report me missing. If they do, I want you to know that you mustn't wait for me. I tell you, Anne, if I had him here now, I could kill him. Now blame the world. Do you understand that letter?
Yeah. I think I do. I think I do. Go get the car. I'll put in my jacket.
Why must you go? Why must you? No, you'll stay. You'll stay.
I can't stay here. I'm the better if I go.
No, you're so foolish. Larry was your son too. He wouldn't want you to do that. Oh.
Then what is this? I mean, isn't telling me. Sure, he was my son. I think to him they were all my sons. And I guess they were. I guess they were. I'll be right down.
You're not gonna take him.
I'm taking him.
If you tell him to stay, he'll stay. Go tell him.
Nobody can stop him now.
The war is over. Haven't you heard? It's over.
I thought you read this. Then what was Larry to you? A stone that fell in the water? It's not enough for him to be sorry. Larry didn't kill himself to make you and Dad sorry.
What more can we be?
You can be better. Once and for all, you can understand that there's a universe of people outside. And you're responsible to them. And unless you do, you gave up your son because that is why he died. And find Joe.
Mother, I didn't mean to.
Don't take it all on yourself.